Aren't you tired of it just being the two of us?
But it's not just the two of us. We have the writers behind us.
So, just the two of us?
Yep.
Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Yeah, the song gets pretty repetitive.
Hello and welcome back to The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm your host, Noah Bullard.
And I'm the charming and funny, smiley face, Abby Perry.
It's a slow week for us here at The Real Deal.
Only one fire, 2 fistfights over taxidermy animals, and oddly enough, a talking squirrel with a PhD stopped by to say hi.
Dr. Ronald, he stops on by once every couple weeks to go hit the links with me.
You golf with a squirrel? Don't you have friends?
I'm lonely, okay? Dr. Ronald is my friend.
Maybe if you stopped playing with your toys, you'd make friends.
They're not toys, they're building blocks designed for creative adults.
Lincoln Logs?
No, well, I play with those too, but I'm talking about Legos.
Speaking of Legos, let's hear how the Lego Movie 2 is doing from our dear friend Andre.
Care to give us the newest and latest in Hollywood headlines?
Thanks, Noah. Despite big openings like Alita Battle Angel and Lego Movie 2 last President's Day weekend, these blockbusters and the other films in the theaters have not relieved 2019 from its sluggish box office earnings since the start of the year. Last year's 4-day weekend was a record-breaking $345.8 million in large part thanks to Black Panther bringing in $242 million. Even though this year was not expected to even come close to last year, this long weekend's box office was only $145.1 million, the lowest since the 2000's $133.6 million. In other movie news, Marvel hired Ned Benson to work on rewrites on the solo Black Widow movie. Ned Benson's most notable writing credit is The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby series. The Black Widow solo movie has yet to have a release date yet, but Marvel chief Kevin Feige said in a 2016 that Marvel and its parent company Disney are committing to giving the character her own movie and possibly a franchise. Another movie is in the works, and it's the sci-fi fantasy Dune, which now has a release date for November 20, 2020. On the helm of this adaptation of the classic 1965 sci-fi novel is Denis Villeneuve, who directed Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival. Dune is set to star big names like Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin, and possibly Jason Momoa. In television news, Netflix has been going through some house cleaning over the past few weeks. Netflix has officially canceled the comedy starring Keegan-Michael Key, Friends from College, after 2 seasons. The news came Monday night when co-creator of the show, Nicholas Stoller, tweeted that Friends from College will not be returning for a 3rd season. Netflix also announced that it has severed ties with The Punisher and Jessica Jones. Marvel's The Punisher will not return for a 3rd season despite its popularity of the 2nd season of The Punisher that came out in January. And the 3rd and final season of Jessica Jones will be coming out on Netflix later this year. Netflix's decision to sever creative ties with Marvel comes with Marvel Studios developing several TV shows and movies for Disney's upcoming competing streaming service, Disney+. But meanwhile Netflix is canceling shows, it is introducing new ones. On Tuesday, Netflix announced its rendition of Green Eggs and Ham, starring Adam Devine. This show is based on the renowned Dr. Seuss children's book, and it's set to be released fall of 2019. On to celebrity news. Police now believe that the attack on the Empire actor Jussie Smollett was staged. Smollett was hospitalized January 29 after a reported racially motivated attack. After releasing 2 initial suspects, Chicago police are now inquiring whether the attack was staged by Smollett. Smollett's attorney says Smollett is, quote, angered and devastated by these recent developments and continues to firmly stand by his claim. On a recent tweet, Empire showrunner Brett Mahoney stands by Smollett over charges of Smollett's attack being a hoax. This has been Andre Guima with this week's Hollywood headlines. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Andre.
Oh my God, wait.
What?
Dune? Did he say Dune?
Okay, 1, you need to get your ears checked. 2, calm down, it's just Dune.
Why do we have to have another remake of a classic sci-fi movie?
I mean, it was a classic book that inspired lots of budding artists.
What do you mean? It's my favorite hotspot for summer vacation.
Please don't tell me you're talking about what I think you're talking about.
The Indiana Dunes.
God, no, you're literally the worst.
Do you know who's not the worst? Amber. She's great. Take it away.
On January 25th, Netflix announced a new limited series, Black Earth Rising. When I first saw the image of the series, I had no idea what it would be about. What had drawn me in were the visuals of the image that represented the show. I also got interested because Michaela Cole, the writer and main role of the hit show Chewing Gum, is also starring in this series. Black Earth Rising sheds a light on the Rwandan genocide that happened in 1994. Here's a short backstory on the genocide. It was a planned campaign of a mass murder in Rwanda that occurred over the course of 100 days. The genocide was executed by extremist people from Rwanda's majority Hutu population who planned to kill the minority Tutsi population and anyone who opposed those genocidal intentions. The Hutu then fought back more violently with machetes. More than 800,000 civilians, which were mainly Tutsi, were killed during the campaign. The series started with Kate and her mom, Eve. Kate Ashby was rescued from the horrific aftermath of the Rwandan genocide by Eve Ashby, a world-class international human rights lawyer. Kate, who is struggling to escape the history of her past that she doesn't remember, is now returning to work as a legal investigator in the same chambers as Eve. She is also under leading international lawyer Michael Innes. But Kate and Eve's relationship is strained to breaking point when Eve takes on the prosecution of a controversial militia leader at the International Criminal Court. The accused man who once fought to stop the genocide in the Democratic Republic of Congo now stands accused of committing crimes against humanity. Throughout the series, Kate goes on a journey to uncover secrets about who she really is and finds out that the people she trusted the most may be working against her. Usually I don't watch these type of shows, the ones that must solve a mystery at the end and lacks the action that I'm used to, but I was hooked on every episode and couldn't help but binge watch the season. This series takes you along the journey of a Rwandan genocide survivor that's trying to find her true identity, and it will keep you entertained. I'm Amber, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks, Amber. That segment was terrific.
Yeah, it was so good, we didn't even need to read it to know how good it was.
We were in such a trance, it was almost like we didn't know what she was going to talk about.
Really?
Yeah, it's your fault.
Mine?
I don't know. To be honest, I blacked out thinking about the movies opening this weekend.
What movies are opening this weekend?
Not sure. That's why I was thinking about them.
Luckily, our next break will show us.
All right.
There is an armada with enough cages for all of our dragons.
This is a new kind of enemy. We need to find the hidden world.
I will destroy everything you love.
Toothless, no!
You're nothing without your dragon.
If Grimmel succeeds, there won't be any dragons left. And it's up to us to put an end to it.
So, what are you gonna do?
You have to take my brother. No one deserves this more than Zach.
I wish you the best, son, but this is the end of the line for you.
Do you know what it's like to want one thing in life, and then your own sister takes it away from you?
It was my dream too.
I have no idea who I'm supposed to be out there.
You're not just doing this for you. You're doing it for the family.
Paige, I myself have come from a wrestling family too. I know exactly what it means.
Catch!
I know what you are.
Oh, I see Jacko's still with us despite your warnings.
Jacko!
The sky is falling.
The sky is falling. So original.
Help, I swear, the lights are falling out of the UML. Taxidermy animals are going missing. I don't know what to do.
Sure, keep crying wolf.
Speaking of crying wolf.
Oh, that's right. We've got Michael talking about Cry Wolf's new album.
Cry Wolf is an American singer-songwriter-producer making some of the most emotionally charged, atmospheric, melodic electronic music. I was first introduced to him back in 2014 with the release of his Angels EP. Many of these songs follow the more traditional EDM style, but all of the trappings that would be refined later were there. The whole EP focuses around a returning motif in the lyrics within each song, and I was instantly hooked. Since July 2018, Cry Wolf has been steadily releasing singles for an upcoming album. Just earlier this month, he released the newest one along with the announcement of the new album, Widow, Oblivion Part 1. This album has been in the making for quite a while and has had to persevere through many troubles, most notably a theft that occurred abroad. While he was in Chile working on this album, he was the victim of a car robbery where his laptop, backup hard drives, camera, equipment, a lot of stuff was stolen. In the end, he was able to recover some stuff, but the rest was lost. All the tracks he'd worked on for the album were just gone. However, he persevered and didn't give up and was able to find a new computer and headed out into the rainforest and began creating anew. His most recent track, Drip, shows one of the main themes of his album, exploration of the shadow. In an interview, he described the feeling behind the song. He talks about how our perceived unified personality is really dozens of different personalities loosely tied together, and how if we pay attention and are really honest with ourselves, we can explain large parts of who we are. Drip is his process of looking inside his brain and being brutally honest with what he sees there. This leads me to what I really love about Cry Wolf as an artist. He uses his music and his art as an outlet. You may have noticed a trend with me in music. I really like music that artists make for themselves first. In a recent letter to the website Auxoro, Cry Wolf talked about his battles with depression and bipolar disorder. He, like many kids growing up, thought his crippling numbness was just a part of being a teenager because he couldn't carry on like others, he was just weaker than those around him. But as we all know, that wasn't the case, and he started treatment. Art therapy is becoming an increasingly common thing for people dealing with mental illness. Cry Wolf had an experience with art that I and many people have had, and that what he felt like he was making expressed someone else's emotions and not original thoughts from himself. It took a Hail Mary for him to find his outlet, and that was to give himself no restrictions. Just make whatever came out of his head and not worry about showing it to others. And this is when he reached his breakthrough. I think this is something we can all learn from. When we create, a lot of the time we are concerned with the reception it'll get, from poems to songs to movies to even the segment that I'm doing right now. But if we let ourselves create completely honestly to ourselves, that is when we will find things about ourselves that we really didn't know. I've done this with this segment and plan on continue doing so with everything I create. I want to strive to be completely honest with myself and create things that reflect me as a person, flaws and alls. Now, this took quite a turn for a look into Cry Wolf's new album, but if any of what I talked about interests you, I would highly recommend that you check out Cry Wolf's music and his music videos too. I've been Michael Smith, and I'll see you next time. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Michael. Can I call you Mike? Thanks, Mikey.
Shameless plug time. This week we've got our game show, Are You Not Entertained? With teams Big Oof versus Anakin's Younglings. Of course, hosted by the lovely Tyler Landis. Check it out.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and don't have the urge to get out of bed. And when I say sometimes, I mean every morning. The only time I feel at peace and the closest I can get to happiness is when I am just laying in bed hoping for the sweet release of death to sweep me away in the night. That and the show that you're watching right now, Mom, Dad, I've done it again. Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears, eyes, and your hearts because you're watching Are You Not Entertained?
I want to suck your blood.
Oh, looks like Anastasia bit another person. We really have to get that under control.
One victim.
Great. Now he's on his Sesame Street kick.
Two victim.
Maybe a bit too much of his Count Chocula this morning, too.
3.
3 victims? You're listening to Too Much Vampire Weekend.
Yes, I am. Enlighten these peasants of our vampire prowess, Noah.
Yes, you heard that right. Vampire Weekend is back in the news. After 6 excruciatingly long years since Modern Vampires of the City, fans can finally enjoy new songs from the band.
and I wouldn't go calling the break a hiatus. Frontman Ezra Koenig kept very busy during the gap. The band finished their Modern Vampires tour in September of 2014, and in July of 2015, Koenig started his Beats One radio show, Time Crisis with Ezra Koenig. The show covers a variety of topics from politics to pop music. Frequent guests have been Jonah Hill, Jamie Foxx, and Rashida Jones. In January of 2016, fans were disappointed to hear that Rostam Batmanglij had left the band, but were quickly turned around when later Koenig announced they were in the studio working on their fourth album with the working title Mitsubishi Macchiato. I know, a mouthful. Then in April, the now trio was hashtag Feelin' the Burn and performed at a Bernie Sanders rally in Washington Square Park. The following March, Koenig gave an extensive update about the upcoming album, saying it was heavily inspired by future Grammy Award-winning artist Casey Musgraves. He also revealed that although his departure, Batmanglij was featured on a number of the songs on the album. In September of 2017, Koenig's animated series Neo no Kyo premiered on Netflix, which stars Jaden Smith, Jude Law, and Susan Sarandon. Koenig continued to host his radio show, and the band performed at Lollapalooza 2018. Then, by the grace of God, we got an update on the album. On Thursday, January 24th, Vampire Weekend released not one, but 2 singles, Harmony Hall and 2021, along with the plans of a tour. An Instagram post from Koenig said the band would be continuing to release 2 songs every month until the album drop date, which has yet to be confirmed, but I'm okay with. The Father of the Bride tour starts at the Hangout Fest in Gulf Shores, comes to White River Lawn on June 7th, which I'll be in the pit for, and the tour finishes out on October 8th in Denver. For Vampire Weekend fans everywhere, I'm Noah Bush, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Noah. The one and only Noah that matters.
Dude, I'm cool. I'm right here.
I'm just trying to get back at you after you called me AB.
Well, what else am I supposed to call you?
Literally anything else. No
Whatever you say, Peggy.
Sue?
What?
Peggy Sue. You youngins wouldn't get the reference. You know who would?
A dead man who died in a plane crash years ago?
Too soon.
That was like 60 years ago.
Too soon. R.I.P.
Anyway, here's Landon, and he's still alive.
Yet again, Netflix has released another original series that has piqued my interest. This time it's an actual show with only its first season out. I decided to take it upon myself and watch the first episode and see what my first impressions of this show are. Well, this show is Umbrella Academy. It stars Ellen Page, Tom Hopper, David Castaneda, Mary J. Blige, Adam Godley, and so many more. The Netflix original is based off a comic book made in 2007. The Umbrella Academy is about 7 children who were born randomly around the world with special powers. Okay, that's not the full story on how the children were born. The morning of the children's birth, the women from around the world weren't pregnant, but later that day gave birth to 7 different children. Each child was then adopted by a millionaire named Sir Reginald Hargreaves. It's very confusing. Upon adopting the children, Sir Reginald trains them and turns them into crime fighters at a very young age and calls them the Umbrella Academy. The concept of the show is very interesting, but it really didn't hold up as the episode progressed. Watching this show, I had very few problems, but the problems I did have really took away from the show. Jammed into a 45-minute episode, the 7 children were introduced along with Sir Reginald and his wife, and a monkey butler named Pogo, and a montage with 3 overlapping songs introduced where each of the 7 children went later in life. It got really confusing. I understand with a show you have to establish characters very early, but this was jam-packed and I had no clue what was happening in the 3 different montages in one episode. On top of the overload of characters, most characters were introduced very poorly. I'm assuming as the season progresses, more backstory will be uncovered, but just going into the first episode, there were many times where I had no idea who was who. So basically what brings them all back together is the death of their father, Sir Reginald. Of the ones that came to the funeral, 3 believe that there's more to the story and that their father's death was more than just a heart attack. The rest of the season covers the investigations and uncovering more and more mysteries. Personally, the Umbrella Academy is not for me. What seemed to be a show about a secret crime-fighting organization turned into a comedic soap opera with very confusing plot elements. Again, this is just the first episode and my first impression of the show, and I'm sure many of these problems are fixed as the episodes progress. I do recommend anyone to try it out for themselves to get a feel for it, but sadly, I couldn't get a hold of it. From a first impression standpoint, I'd have to give this show a 3 out of 5. My name is Landon, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for that great segment.
I gotta thank you, Ann.
That's right. Proud of you, little baby boy.
I'm older than you.
But you play with Legos, so who's really older?
We can fight about this later during our final break.
Like fist fight level or intellectual discussion level?
I'm tired of all the fighting. Hashtag Stop the Fighting 2019.
Preach.
You made the biggest mistake of your life.
And what's that?
Underestimating who I am.
Your fiercest leader.
This guy is the special.
This guy was a fierce warrior.
Okay, well, technically, I did the warrior stuff.
So you fought and master built and kicked butt, and then the hapless male was the leader.
He,
Good morning, beautiful. Last night was amazing.
I don't think we actually did anything. It just cut to the next morning.
What?
Just get back here.
Okay. Good morning, beautiful. Last night was amazing. Natalie.
A few short weeks ago, I talked to you guys about how Netflix had canceled Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. I also alluded to how it spelled the beginning of the end for the remaining Marvel TV series on the streaming website. And as Andre mentioned earlier, it looks like that end has come a little quicker than most of us were expecting. The Marvel-Netflix collaboration is in its final throes of death as Jessica Jones and The Punisher have now been axed. While it comes as no surprise to me, it's still really frustrating. I loved the Punisher series, and what little I've seen of Jessica Jones makes it intriguing as well. I admittedly don't understand the dynamic of who or what decides which shows are canceled and which ones stay. I just hope that we get more John Bernthal as Frank Castle when Marvel moves over to Disney+, although I really doubt that'll happen. Bernthal said a heartfelt goodbye to the character on his Instagram page and was met with earnest replies from fans everywhere. And it's really unfortunate that we have to see great shows end due to business dynamics. And for shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine that were saved by another company, we can only hope that these shows get a reboot with Disney. Although I have suspicions that they wouldn't be the same anyway. But that's enough lamenting about what could have been. Here's my wonderful co-host with a bit of a rant about a YouTuber that made some questionable comments surrounding her place of employment. And maybe she'll go full Frank Castle and put an end to this slander. Abby?
All right, Shane Dawson is known very well in the YouTube community. From his school vlogs to Spooky Boys to his big docuseries, he has changed the platform entirely. Recently, he released 2 one-hour-long videos about big conspiracy theories. The first one was really great. It had some things that I'd never thought of before. I mean, the idea of cartoons glorifying suicide is absolutely insane to me. The idea of having people hear me before I even answer the phone is creepy. I analyzed these theories and all the other ones very closely, fully believing that they could be true. The second one came out a few weeks later and it was equally insane. His old friend and fellow YouTuber, Brittany Taylor, potentially dated a man that was attempting to traffic her and their child. That's insane. In fact, this was insane enough that it should have been a whole video alone. Why do I say this? Well, because the video isn't getting a lot of hype because of that huge part. It's getting hype because Shane exposed Chuck E. Cheese's and he made the claim that they reuse pizza. This theory has been all over the internet and it has been all over my social media because I worked at Chuck E. Cheese's for 5 years, in the kitchen for 3, and I assure you, they don't reuse pizza, so stop asking me, please. That's straight nasty. But I have been asked by so many people if it's true, and I bring this up because I believed the other theories. I was on board with Shane, then he created a theory about something that I have complete knowledge of. I saw past the theory and knew that it was total nonsense. I have been so annoyed with all these questions people have been asking me, but if I didn't work there, I would have believed it. And that means I would have believed false information too. What's wrong with this? Well, now I can clearly see what all I have been spoon-fed by social media influencers. There are facts in my brain that may not even be real facts. I have been greatly influenced by these people, and that can be bad. Chuck E. Cheese's could lose business, and people could lose jobs. One influencer told millions of people to be on board with his ideas, and now people all over the world are doing just that. Think about how many times this happens. What I'm getting at here is that we are constantly influenced by facts that simply aren't verified. We are so easily swayed by words coming out of the mouths of our favorite people we watch online. YouTubers should take this as a lesson. Understand what you are telling your viewers. Verify your facts and remember your audience. Shane has the potential of 2 different paths. He could influence several people to believe yet another piece of fake news, or he could get sued by a large corporation. Either way, he should be more careful, and we should all take this as a warning sign for listening to everything that we hear. Verify facts and trust the real experts. If you're an influencer, verify the facts and think about your audience first. The consequences for both parties are real.
Thanks, Abby. We're done for the episode. If you want more from us, check out The Real Deal on Facebook, Twitter, and our website for all things entertainment. I'm your host, Noah Bullard.
And I'm Abby Perry. See you next time on The Real Deal. One time in 3rd grade, I was reading out loud to the class, and it said chameleon, and I said chameleon, and I still get reminded of that.
If it makes you feel any better, I used to call orangutans orangutans. Orangutans.
No one corrected you? You just did it forever.
They corrected me, and then I thought I liked that one better, so I just kept calling them that.